Steve McClatchy here. We're talking with one of our seasoned investors in America, Peter Cook, and Peter's utilised International Portfolio Group services, and one of the first services we set up an American structure called an LLC. And had you heard about that structure, Peter, before starting this whole US journey?
No, and in that respect, it's quite a significant learning curve, and it's fortunate that I had some people that I could learn with as we went. So yes, I have multiple LLCs now, and I'm very comfortable in what they're there for and getting them all set up. And it was certainly good to work with Steve in understanding why those LLCs are needed and actually having them help me get them all set up.
Did you find that process of setting up the LLCs through IPG fairly painless and straightforward?
Yes. You guys know what you're doing, and you have all the connections. LLCs or setting up an LLC can be actually quite complex and very cumbersome if you're not there and don't have the qualifications. However, setting them up and knowing what's needed, it's a fairly smooth process.
Fantastic. And the next part of the process is that we have to set up a US bank account, and I know you've got multiple bank accounts now, and did you have to go to America to set those up, and how did you find the process of setting your bank accounts up?
Okay, well, the whole process of selecting a bank is a challenging one because you need to deal with a bank who's willing to deal with international people. A lot of US banks just don't. The big thing I found, to my surprise, is you always think of the US as some spectacular capitalist organisation that's got a spectacular economy and does everything brilliantly, and then you get there and you find out that most of the banks are small backyard things and they're a fraction of the quality of the banks here. So what that means is you need people on the ground who know the skills and strengths of those different banks and can select the ones that will do the job for us, and then can work with them in setting up the bank accounts and setting up the loans and so on according to what we need here as well. And that's something that takes a lot of work and needs somebody who's doing it all the time and always, having a finger in the pie to see the changes.
Excellent. And the third piece of the puzzle is the accounting. You have to have things called ITIN numbers and EINs and
Yes.
tax return filings and IRS. How did you go with all that? How's it been for you with our accountants in America?
Okay, well, the first thing is to get an accountant that is both professional and good, that you can trust. So all of those are key, and that comes down to the individual themselves and how good they are. And it's really pot luck if you try and do it yourself as to whether you get that individual or not. But the other one in regard to doing this is you need an accountant who has a good knowledge of international accounting requirements as well as local law, and particularly one who has all the right qualifications so that they can execute efficiently all those things that are required. So they will need to get an ITN, they will need to get an EIN. When they do their tax laws, they need to account for how you work here, and they need to understand that they need to give you the knowledge that you need in order to do what you need in the US. So picking the right accountant is quite a challenge. I've been very pleased with the accountant that Steve has picked in your services. And in fact, in my most recent tax return, that accountant actually, on their behalf, went and negotiated with the state that I was working with in order to get special dispensation to reduce my tax. So that was, in my opinion, a little bit above and beyond what a normal accountant would do, but on my request, they minimised my tax for me.
That's always a good thing. That's right. So in terms of the overall package that we provided from IPG for the service charge that we charge, would you think it's value for money, what we've been able to achieve for you?
Look, absolutely. To be quite honest, I'm a very tight person. I hate spending money. But when I'm investing, I'm very happy to spend money to reduce my risk and execute that investment in such a way that it all goes clean. And to be quite honest, there's no way that I could do that without IPG services. So while I'm on one hand not happy to spend money, On the other hand, from a pure investor perspective, I'm very happy to spend that money because it reduces my risk and gets the job done such that I know that everything is bang in place and spot on. So yes, I'm happy to spend the money from that perspective.
Thanks, Peter.